Welcome to the CIA, Columbia, Obama, Sedition and Treason Trial Transcript Release Press Conference. We're so delighted that you are a part of this historic event today. First of all, I want to state that our general and usual format of the Manning Report will be foregone today, that we might be able to present this press conference in a way that all who are willing to participate will be able to do so after my introductory remarks. First of all, I'd like to state that this press conference is being held several months after the actual trial took place that got started right here at the Ottawa World Missionary Church on the 14th of May, the year of our Lord, 2010. The verdict was handed down late in the afternoon on the 18th of May, where the verdict, a group of American citizens found Barack Hussein Obama, Michael Sovereign, the trustees of Columbia University at the time, guilty of 17 counts ranging from sedition to fraud, wire and mail fraud, obstruction of justice, and issuing a false instrument. Now, the period of which we now find ourselves releasing this transcript that all America may be made aware of, at the very least, the evidence and the commitment that this trial had to the 10th Amendment of the 9th and the 10th Amendment of the Constitution of this great Republic of America. I want to state that at the conclusion of my remarks, I will bring on Captain Neil Turner, who will be able to further discuss the power that has been applied to this trial by the constitutions and statements issued by Supreme Court Justice Anthony Scalia, verifying that we, the people, are indeed the contractors of the Constitution and hold every conceivable right to conduct a trial, and such a trial should be upheld by all American citizens. And I think a large number of people have had the question about the judicial authority of this trial. Trust me. Rest assured that at the conclusion of these remarks and the remarks of Captain Neil Turner, you will be assured that we acted in a way that gives honor to this great nation and all of its citizens with respect to constitutional privileges. I think the other thing that we want to state at the outset is that this was indeed a historic event. There's never been anything like it. And the response of the media, the response of the American people, we're not here to predict or try to prophesy how they're going to react. One would readily believe that for the most part, the media would not be interested in this trial or the results thereof for various reasons. Not that the evidence that will be presented is not evidence nonetheless. That is to say, that if I witness you kill a man, rob him of his goods, and then run down the street, and you go hiding, and I tell that to the authorities, and the authorities choose to ignore it, it does not mean that there has not been a murder and a robbery. It simply means that the authorities have chosen, for whatever reason, to ignore the murder and the robbery. And we, many Americans, are all too familiar with this kind of a response from the media and the powers that be. The authorities may choose not to pursue or investigate the witness or the eyewitness testimony and the evidence that I would present about that murder and robbery, because they feel that the person that was murdered and robbed does not rise to their standard of equal protection under the law. Or they may determine that the person who we have identified as the murderer and the robber is indeed above the law, and therefore they have no interest in pursuing. I'm not sure exactly what will be the position of the media, but I can say this: the world and all of its adherents will find that the information that we have presented is solid, rock-solid, documented evidence demonstrated unequivocally that Barack Hussein Obama is the world's most notorious criminal. And he has done such crimes in full view of the American people, the media, and all of the 2008 political class. Another reason why one may choose not to pursue this information because I am not the only one who's very much aware of all the evidence that has been presented. Others are much more aware of this evidence, but because Mr. Obama has been chosen by the courts, the media, the Congress, the business, banks, and others, they have invested in him. And so to pursue the truth about him as it was demonstrated at this trial would not be in their best interest. And I want to say to you, what we now have going on in our nation, regrettably, and much to our sad response to it, is that we have now not a nation of congressional lawmakers. We have not in our nation at this present time a Supreme Court bench that is bent on the preservation of the law. But we have now in our nation and in every corner of our local and state politics law breakers who do so, and it seems that the American people are afraid to raise their voices. Well, I'm not. And so thusly we have this trial. There's a couple other things, and then we're going to bring on Captain Turner. This trial is not singularly about the birth certificate issue, or that I am a birther gone amok and want to simply demonstrate that Barack Hussein Obama is not a U.S. American or natural-born citizen as the constitutional clause requires. Now, we have to keep in mind that when George Washington and first Supreme Court Justice John Jay wrote that clause into the Constitution, they had a singular purpose in mind, that you must be natural born, for they believed, as founding fathers, that anyone who was not would owe or possibly could owe allegiances to some other nation, being dual or triple allegiances if born in one nation and raised in another, and yet chose to live in America and sought to be its president. The allegiances could be varied. And therefore, at the time when fidelity to this nation was most important, it could be greatly compromised by other or dual allegiances elsewhere. So you must be natural born. You must be 35 years of age. You would have lived in America for a period of at least 14 years. We're going to demonstrate that Barack Hussein Obama is not natural born, but that is not the strength of the case that we presented or the trial that we had. The strength of the case that we presented demonstrates unequivocally that Barack Hussein Obama knowingly and willfully committed a torrent of criminal acts to gain the presidency. We're also going to prove and demonstrate that Columbia University, while being influenced by the C.I.A., the State Department, and others, allowed this criminal activity to go forward, not thinking that it would ever lead to a date where it would be brought to open evidence in a trial, or that the person to whom they had conspired with would ever seek the office of the presidency. And so, my friends, it is about the Constitution and about criminal activity and spiritual wickedness in high places that we have conducted this trial, and we believe now is the appropriate moment for which the transcripts may be released, and you'll be able to read for yourself. And again, we want to state that the evidence, whether you agree that we had judicial authority or not, and you are free to disagree about that. You can call it a mock trial. You can call it a joke. But again, my brothers and my sisters, if I am reporting on a murder and a robbery, and I witnessed the murder and the robbery, but yet the authorities chose not to act upon my witness and representation, that, of course, is their decision. But we have a dead man. We got a body that is dead, and a man that is robbed, and a criminal that is running free. And if you choose, after hearing the evidence or witnessing the evidence that will be brought to you contained in this transcript, then that will be your choice. But I can't believe the good people of America are going to allow this criminal to continue to run amok after such murder and robbery has taken place. Indeed, most of us know that the life and time of Barack Hussein Obama has been nothing but a profile of lies, chicanery, and spellbinding, if you will, fantasies that he has inflicted upon the American people, and it needs to stop. It needs to stop now. A number of people have also asked, well, why are you doing this? You are allegedly a black man, African American. You even live in Harlem. You're a pastor of a church. Why aren't you in support of Obama simply because of the color of his skin? Well, I have to tell you, as appealing as that may be to a large number of people, I understand that the Obama election was the most racist thing that has ever happened on this continent, including slavery. It was just a very racist event. But I have to tell you, I've been set free by the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the slain civil rights leader, that we should not judge, and let me inject, vote for a man because of the color of his skin, but rather by the content of his character. And so, my friends, it was the character and remains the character of Mr. Obama that has prompted me to warn Americans to run from him. Run, little children. Run, America, as fast and far and hard as you can away from Mr. Obama. But inevitably, people will be people, and they voted for him, and now they see that all my statements and warnings were absolutely on point. I'd like to further state that I oppose Mr. Obama for spiritual reasons. I am a pastor, and no matter what your spiritual call may be, I believe God, as the Apostle Paul said when floating down the Adriatic Sea under that great storm called Euroclydon. And he declared in the midst of those sailors who were frightened after not having seen the light of day for 14 days on end, Paul declared that we shall be saved because I believe God. And my friends, I want you to know, I believe God. And I believe that Obama is the son of Satan. I'm not asking you to believe that. I'm not asking you to believe that I believe that. I'm telling you what I believe. And for those spiritual reasons alone, I could not forbear and will not forbear. But I must follow my conscience, and I must follow my faith in God, that this man needs to be identified for who he is as the son of Satan. Now, let me quickly move. While I will not try to sum up the evidence, I will state this, that the evidence, in spite of what you may think about the trial, its judicial authority, the constitutional privilege, or me as an individual, or any of the participants or respondents to the call that was put forth to help conduct this trial, no matter what might be your final conclusion, I want to remind you, upon reading the transcripts, the evidence remains the evidence. One would then argue, well, there was no cross-examination. None of the people that were found guilty had any representation by having an attorney present. And I would retort by saying, but we sent subpoenas well in advance. Shortly after the indictment was handed down, we allowed people who were defendants and witnessed that perhaps that could present some exculpatory evidence on behalf of the defendants to come, to appear, to testify, to have their lawyers file motions of which the court would then justly entertain. None of those people chose to defend themselves. And I might add, our judicial system allows for that privilege, and any decision that is reached in a court of law where the Constitution is upheld, if people choose not to show up or choose not to be represented, it does not null and void the verdict.